In some of my previous videos, I've been very hard on ICP. Because of that, I want to make a video talking about the 4 really awesome things that makes me excited for ICP, the things that I think it does very, very well that not only benefit its ecosystem, but technically will probably benefit the whole crypto ecosystem as a whole. The first one of those things is going to be ICP's chain key technology. My understanding of how ICP's chain key technology, CK Bitcoin, CK ETH works is that ICP, the whole blockchain, has a single public key. Because of that, this is how the chain key cryptography works. It allows ICP to only have a single public key that connects to the whole blockchain. Because of that, that allows for infinite scaling of the blockchain. It allows for the ICP community to add more nodes, more computers basically, which then allows for more subnets, which then allows for more canisters or smart contracts on top of those subnets. So when people say ICP can scale horizontally forever, it's basically like in the modern day where internet service providers add more towers and more server farms and other things to infinitely scale their business. ICP has the same thing with chain key technology. Because of the way that they use this single public key, because of how chain key technology works to connect the blockchain, they can infinitely grow their blockchain horizontally. More servers, more nodes, aka computers, which means they're becoming more like a decentralized version of AWS where they have servers everywhere, computers everywhere. On top of that, they get subnets, and on top of that, they run smart contracts. Furthermore, with this architecture, when one subnet or one group of nodes goes down, the other subnets and the other nodes can maintain that, or can reboot or allow ICP to still run while that server farm or server network is either being fixed or remaining offline or updating or whatever needs to happen. Because of chain key technology, it allows for a decentralization of these resources, whereas if you are Netflix running on a single AWS server and AWS goes down, Netflix goes down, right? This also works when the ICP network, the blockchain as a whole, the L1, needs an upgrade. Chain key technology with its single public key somehow allows for the whole network to be upgraded and not only scale horizontally, not only update certain subnets or certain nodes that have gone down or let them be offline while the ICP blockchain and all the canisters still run, but it also gives the ability to upgrade nodes, upgrade subnets as the ICP blockchain, continues its development. So chain key technology at its core layer is allowing ICP to run on this single public key, and then from there it allows the blockchain to grow horizontally, add more nodes, computers, subnets, and canister smart contracts, all those being horizontally on top of each other, and then as needed, as these subnets go up or down or need to be updated or need to be offline, the blockchain can mold around that because of the distribution of resources across the whole chain via chain key technology. And even further on top of that, CK Bitcoin allows for a certain subnet, a certain group of nodes to have one single canister smart contracts that allows ICP to run Bitcoin's blockchain on top of ICP. This essentially works by using the canister smart contract to allow people on the Bitcoin network or on ICP to store their Bitcoin inside the smart contract and mint out CK Bitcoin. What's really cool about CK Bitcoin, in my opinion, is that it still relays back to the Bitcoin network. It still updates the UTXOs. It still does the same transactions on the Bitcoin layer and pushes the transactions to the Bitcoin layer, but the fees are understood to be a lot cheaper because the fees are on ICP, and basically Bitcoin is being brought onto ICP. ICP will not be brought onto Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not built that way. But with CK Bitcoin, you still have all these transactions happening on ICP that then can get relayed back to the Bitcoin blockchain and understood in the chronological order of the transactions as transactions that happen on the Bitcoin network, which I think is really cool. I think it's cool it's updating the UTXOs on the Bitcoin chain and keeping transactions on that chain, but also allowing people on the Bitcoin network or who have Bitcoin or who want to use Bitcoin to do it on ICP in a lighter client manner. Less fees, faster transactions, better user experience. The second big thing that I think ICP is doing really well, or that has potential to be really innovative, is the reverse gas model. So we know currently in Ethereum, when you go to pay for a transaction, you have to pay gas, and the user is paying that gas up front. What ICP is saying is, hey, we don't want to do it this way. We want to do it like social media, like Facebook, like Instagram, like Netflix. You just get on the app and use it, right? ICP is doing this by bringing in the reverse gas model, where instead of me, someone who wants to do a transaction on chain, paying a transaction fee every time I send a text or do a blog or post an article. The developer running the backend has to pay the ICP transaction fee for me. And so what they do is, like, today, if you go on Facebook, Facebook has already paid for server rooms and for storage and for cloud computing for their social media platform. ICP is running the same way, especially because ICP is supposed to be like this decentralized internet with social media and with apps and with Discord and chats and all these things. The developers developing on top of ICP, whether you're building a blog, a D app, a social media app, a decentralized exchange, they have to pay the transaction fee before the users use a transaction. What they do this by putting ICP into their canisters, which is their smart contracts. They fill up their canisters with ICP, and then users use that ICP doing transactions, and as the ICP runs low in their canister, they just simply fill it back up again. So I'm not really sure, or I'm curious to see how this works over the long term with developers building on ICP, because somehow, like, Facebook, they run ads on the platform. Social media, they run ads to make money. A lot of games, a lot of free-to-play games run ads to make money, or like today, Call of Duty, we do microtransactions for them to make money. I'm not so sure if you have users doing transactions for free on like a Discord version on ICP or like a social media on ICP. I know the devs will have to pay the ICP fee, but where do they make their money on the back end? Is it through releasing a token that they make money on, releasing an NFT that they make money on? I'm curious to see how the developers are going to make a return on their investment. That's something we're gonna have to watch out for. But the reverse gas model allows users to use the blockchain much more easily because they're not paying transaction fees every time they do something, and it makes the seamlessness of the interaction that much better. Much more like Web 2 that we've come to know. The third major thing that I think is really good about what ICP is doing is their user experience is actually very, very incredibly awesome. They have every single clone of an app that we use in the Web 2 world. They have a Discord, they have a like a Google, they have like a MySpace or like a Facebook, they have a Reddit, they have all these different apps going on the ICP computer, basically on their web browser and on their decentralized internet, and the experience of how these works is so seamless. When you use some of these apps, it automatically creates or when you join ICP, you automatically create this digital identity in this wallet, and from there, all these apps are natively integrating with that digital identity, with that wallet, and it's much more just like having a Google account. I use a lot of other blockchains like Ethereum, Cardano, and it's not that simple, right? We don't have like digital identities like that. We create a wallet and connect the wallet, but I have like 5 different wallets. On ICP, the user experience is matching the internet that we've grown to love, and having like an ICP internet digital identity is much like having a Google account where you can sign into a lot of other web pages with your Google account. You can sign into a lot of platforms with your Google account. The same thing is applying on ICP, and I really do appreciate the user experience, how seamless it is, and what kind of apps they're putting out there for people to use. It's very much Web 3 becoming mirrored to the Web 2 world. And so I think that will allow for a lot of easier transition from people in Web 2 to Web 3 if they, if more of the space can have a user experience like that. The fourth and final thing that I want to say, one of my favorite things about what ICP is doing, and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, I was wrong. I mentioned that the internet today is decentralized, and really looking back on it now, what I should have said after more research and more learning is that yes, the internet is decentralized. You can access it without accessing the big 4 data companies, but you will be on a closed loop internet. And when you're on a closed loop internet, you don't have access to Reddit and to Facebook. You have to build all those in your closed loop internet, and you have to join, like invite people to your closed loop internet, and it's just not the same. So when you do want to access the larger internet today, I've been doing a lot of research on internet service providers and telecom and all this stuff. And if you want to join the internet that everyone else joins, you will need to be a part of a larger internet service provider, which essentially joins you into the big data world. You can have your data sold or your data manipulated or your data censored or all these other things. So I think that the thing that ICP is trying to solve is a very noble pursuit. I think the world does need a decentralized version of AWS, a decentralized version of cloud computing, a decentralized version of cloud storage, and I think that's a noble thing to pursue. I think we can all agree that we would not be happy if AWS like wiped our files or wiped our storage or took Netflix offline or censored and said no more Netflix in America, right? Especially if you're a paying customer of Netflix. But AWS does have the potential to do that if the government forces them to or tells them to, or they think that doing something will help their stock price or hurt their stock price. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when we're using these big data companies: Google, Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, all these things. There's a lot of version of them, and those are only the big ones, and there's thousands of other small ones. But every time we use the internet today, we do have data and cookies and all these things being stored, and there's great initiatives in GDPR, but here in America, a lot of those things are still happening, and it's really hard to control what happens with your data. So I do think a decentralized AWS, a decentralized internet, or a decentralized cloud and storage solution is something needed in the crypto marketplace, and I think ICP is doing a great job at pursuing that specific application. These are the 4 things that I really enjoy about ICP and things that I think it's doing really well at innovating on. Leave me a comment down below. Do you agree that these are some of the best things that ICP is doing, or do you think there's an even better subsector of things that they're doing that I didn't even list here? Let me know in the comments and we can have a happy discussion about it. Let me know, do you like CK Bitcoin? Have you minted CK Bitcoin? Is CK ETH out? I'm not sure if it's out yet. I haven't checked in on it, but let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're on board with some of these things ICP is doing, if you think that's good or bad for the crypto ecosystem. I'd be happy to discuss in the comments with you. I also post threads on all this stuff before I put out the YouTube video. So if you want to see the information or debate me or have fun on Twitter with me, in the description, I got my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and we can have a discussion about all these things, or you can see all my research I'm doing before I post a YouTube video if you want some early access to some of it, all right? Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.